It's Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome to the Cavalier Cheat Sheet 3.0. So, as a lot of you know, on a monthly basis, I produce this spreadsheet of various different champion interactions with nodes on the Cavalier difficulty, and it's something that's gone down very well, and I'm going to be redoing it and improving it on a monthly basis. However, though, there's been an issue with this month. The first part of the issue is timing. I've unfortunately been unable to get this out in a timely fashion, and that's just due to the fact that Kabam decided a week later, after the Cavalier difficulty dropped, to drop Variant 7, which meant that I was focusing a lot on preparing stuff for that, which, you know, the Variant 7 cheat sheet, if you haven't seen that as well. But the more main issue is that I've had to change the way that this spreadsheet looks and as well add different sections to it because Kabam decided to roll a alternative or variant node into 3 different types of the class specific nodes that we've seen this month. So yeah, just to explain things, they put back in the Power Technician node for techs, Punishment Glutton for skill champions, and finally Mystic Consumption for mystic champions. This unfortunately means that I've had to spend a lot of time kind of adapting the spreadsheet to have the alternate nodes, or a node 1 and node 2 of the specific type of classes. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do with the 3.0 version, I'm unable to do. So the stuff that I'm going to do with 4.0 will be to, number 1, add more champions into it, but also add synergy champions, profile picks to kind of spice up the way it looks, new release champions, as well as the alternate versions of the nodes, and as well personal picks and MVPs, which is sort of in there, but I think like other ones would probably be good to add in as well. I'm also still working with some infographic people to try and get the best possible Cavalier difficulty guide cheat sheet out to you, so do keep locked to that. It is in the works, just have a little bit of faith. But at least we've got the spreadsheet in a simplistic form. I'm going to be zooming into different sectors because obviously a lot of people will be watching on mobile devices. But if you're watching on a desktop, then at least you'll be able to see this. But as well, you can read along as we go over this in the link in the description, which should have the Google Drive version. But best thing is to pick it up on Discord, where I've got a special room called Event and Side Quest, which is on the left side tab here, Event and Side Quest. You just click it. And then over in the top right hand corner, there's a pinned messages section. And in there, it's got all the respective kind of like guides and infos. The Cavalier cheat sheet will be updated, so it'll be here. And we do these on a monthly basis and improve stuff. So it's all good. It's all there. Right, so let's begin with node 2 of the tech side of things, which is indeed that Power Technician. Under the effect of an armor up buff with power drain 15% of the defender, max power each time they perform a well-timed block. Each time attacker power drains, burns, or locks the opponent, they gain a permanent passive fury, increasing attack rating by 35%. Essentially, it's a pretty easy thing to do. If you've got the armor up effect first and foremost, it's going to mean that you're going to be able to do that power draining. Every time you power drain, get a fury buff. It's pretty simple stuff. So there's going to be some specific champions that are going to be good for this. I've put over the left hand side some really cool MVPs from Hulkbuster, Red Skull. I've got Warlock, got Iron Man Infinity War, and Civil Warrior. Of that list, or of those particular selections, I personally always used back in the day Hulkbuster because I liked it, but it's Warlock being one of the best. It is as well Civil Warrior's new buff being one of the best, and Warlock as well. It doesn't mean to say that other champions won't do it. It's just a case of like those are my top picks of MVPs. But don't rule out the following. Iron Man Infinity War gets an armor buff. It's a no-brainer, yeah. I think the passives work in the same way because effectively it's the same. Don't kind of like quote me on that. It may be a case that I might be wrong there. But it should do the job. Vision's Power Burn, SP1, SP2. That works fine. Red Skull is easy armor buff to begin with. It's probably one of the like, no-brainer options there. Not that I think that a lot of players would rank up that champion just for that specific nature, but still for the interaction. Guardian with the armor up buff. Kang gets it as well, and Howard the Duck. I probably think Howard the Duck is one of the best in those particular situations and should be further up and even like a good and well-known champion to be MVP. But as well, like it's not just about armor up, it's also about power draining. It's just the differences with this is that if you've got champions that have got it as standard, the armor up buff, it means more easier in interaction rather than going, let's build up to a special attack to get it, as opposed to going, right, it's part of the basic hit kit, or it's part of the, it's there as standard, or it's there without any kind of effort. So that's why I've put the counters are champs that build easy armor buffs are the best. Next up, and it's Punishment Glutton. So this is skill node number 2. And with Kabam adding in the subsequent secondary node, which is rapid metabolism, all plays into the first part. So skill attackers gain a permanent passive fury, increasing attack rating by 35% each time a damaging debuff is purified or expires on the opponent. So essentially, yep, the subsequent node, the rapid metabolism, means that you put a debuff on, it's going to be a case that it will go off, it'll expire as quickly as it goes on, which is good to ramp up damage. Now, what champions are the best for this? Well, I've gone for the following. MVPs this is. One of my favourites is Black Widow Deadly Origin, because of her basic hits, without little to no effort, you are pretty much putting debuffs on the enemy, and that is brilliant. It's also going to mean that other champions like Nick Fury, if you do yourself some mediums, if you do a heavy attack, you are putting bleed debuffs on the enemy as well. That is going to be great. The same thing with Gwenpool, Black Panther OG. If you are interested in using that champion, do bear in mind that champion will be buffed soon, so that's going to be some extra value if you are thinking about taking it into content, if it still retains that that nature of building bleed debuffs very, very quickly, which it does. Yep, Gwenpool, great option. Squirrel Girl, great option as well. Two champions that are part of their kit is to easily get things like bleed debuffs or incinerate debuffs. But there are other options to this particular node, and that is as follows. You can also have Falcon off the SP1, Black Panther we've discussed, Blade of S special attacks and as well well-timed blocks, Jabari Panther with critical hits, does bleeds, Moleman, critical hits, does bleeds and SP1 does shock, Ronin does sword attacks and SP2 for bleed. You've also got Daredevil with the SP2 for bleed, Winter Soldier with the SP1, Hawkeye SP1 for bleed, Elektra SP1 for bleed, Crossbones with SP2 Incinerate, Night Thrasher with SP1 with Incinerate, Elsa Bloodstone SP1 with Hellfire rounds. All of those work really well with this particular interaction. I just feel that some of the ones I've chosen as MVPs, they are not that huge on effort, and obviously to bear in mind, I haven't considered synergies in this, synergies that may give damaging debuffs. It's something that I'm going to be doing down the line. It's just a case, unfortunately, this particular 3.0 edition has to be very specific on champions. So it's like I said, as I always say, it's always good to do 3 path clearers and 2 boss champion counters. It just means that you'll be fully prepared for anything that might come and any mistakes that might happen. But these champions are great for this particular node. And now let's do the final node, which is Mystic Consumption. This one is actually a pretty easy one, and is actually a lot better in my opinion than Mystic Node 1, the one that we've been covering with the Cavalier Cheat Sheet for the last 2 cheat sheets. So what's the deal with this one? Well, it's a very simple one. Mystic attackers gain a permanent passive prowess, increasing their special attack damage by 40% each time they nullify a buff, max 10. Now, the thing with this is, Kabam have put in personal space as the secondary part to the node, which is important because it means that the opponent, your opponent, will gain buffs, a fury buff. So it means that you can nullify that. Do bear in mind, it also classes for things that stagger, things that fate seal, not just nullify, because a lot of times you go like, okay, nullify, that's part of like Symbiote Supreme. And as well, you've got Sorcerer Supreme as well, part of their kit, they do nullify. But as well, you can stagger opponents. This means that there's a lot more mystics available to you, but there's some that do things on better and easier rotation that are actually incredibly effective. Some of the MVPs of that were on screen now, and you've got Hood. Hood is very easy to get a critical hit, and then it's a case of doing heavy attacks to refresh that staggering effect. As we said, Null's Shadow and the ability that Symbiote Supreme has can actually do the job pretty well. You've also got Sasquatch, which again is down to heavy attacks, and that's again easier rotation. Same thing with Black Widow Deadly Origin, Black Widow Clairvoyant, sorry, that does easier nullification effects and as well has got buff immunity. But Doctor Doom has got to be by far the best champion option. Better if you got him awakened, because it means you'll get shock on the enemy, which means that you can do heavy attacks more easily, and that means putting the stagger, refreshing the stagger, and all that lovely stuff. But there are some other options as well. Now, yeah, it's not just about those champions. The other options are here. Thor Jane Foster with heavy attacks. That does a very nice stagger and it's consistent. You've also got Sorcerer Supreme. That's another option. Mephisto, Soul Imprisonment. But there's also some other abilities. But I think Soul Imprisonment is probably very, very kind of like specific to you and your persistence. But you've got Juggernaut, you've got Long Shot. Do bear in mind, signature ability is important. 60% is the most you can get with 60% chance to nullify a buff. That's why I think a lot of players may go down the route of SP2 and Fate Seal. You also got Mangog with SP1, and finally Scarlet Witch with RNG based critical hits and nullification and stuff like that. And you know, you've got a lot there. I'm sure there's more Mystic champions, but I think there's a strong list of candidates there to kind of like help you out when it comes to this alternate Mystic node. Again, apologies that this video couldn't come out a lot sooner, but unfortunately Variant 7 cheat sheet was a priority first. There was a lot of other content that needed to be done and prepped for. But yeah, I'll look to next month get all those changes that I've said at the start of the video, and as well I'll try and work with some infographic people about ramping this up and maybe doing like a way of having both types of nodes or kind of like two types of different types of sheets for this. But either way, this will be a extended spreadsheet that deals with a lot of the problems that players will experience with the node changes. We may even have to kind of like revert to mutant and science, mutant and science changes and cosmic changes to node 1 and node 2 next month. I just don't know. We'll have to wait what Kabam does. But thank you very much for watching this video. Check out some other content recently posted up there, and as well subscribe with post notifications on all. Hit the like button, support the channel. That would be amazing, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.